good. We can get started, I believe. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining the web presentation for the 2025 H1B CAP updates. And we take this opportunity to explain and brief you all on what is going to be the next phase in this H1B program. And as always, we are very thankful for the way that you do the business, and your business really, your passion for business drives us, and your passion to hire people really motivates us. And thank you for all that. With that being said, again, I'm seeing a lot of participants joining still, more than a few hundred, I think, 100 plus. And all the clients, we speak with them, we interact on a day-to-day basis, but seeing them all on one platform with my team is really exciting. And definitely it's a very big family that I consider to be, that we are all working together. Truly exciting for all of us. Then with that, I think we'll just get to the an actual agenda here, so that we can see an overall concepts, the key concepts that we want to discuss in this webinar today. We'll go over the H1B cap registration and other things. And one important thing, why we actually came up with this webinar, and we know that we don't do this quite often. We decided to do this because we as a firm felt that this is a milestone, this is a game changer for the H1B program, not in just terms of the H1B cap registrations and the lottery, but in general for the overall presentation, the overall way that the H1B program is going to continue from now, being an online filing. So this is definitely a milestone for all of us to really look at it, learn from it, and take the best out of it. So with that, these are the key concepts that we will discuss today. We'll go over a view on the H1B cap. I know there are some new employers joining today, so definitely for their benefit, we need to understand what the 20,000, what the 65,000 would be, and how to actually approach this cap. Then we'll go over with the changes in the registration system. What are the key updates today? Then what's the difference between beneficiary-centric selection process versus what we previously had in the system? Then advantages and disadvantages, if at all any. Then the H1B cap roadmap and important dates for all of us to mark so that we can plan and work for the next few months together to make this program very effective. Then, of course, the changes in the USCIS filing fees. There are good and bad things in this, which I'll share. Of course, you have already noticed that the fees have gone up, but otherwise, I have seen some positive things in that, which I'll share. Then, of course, I'll introduce the team. You've been working with them. Then we'll also see our process, how we are going to do the registrations. So that way we are all prepared. With that, I'll ask Attorney Teju to help us go over the overview on the H1B cap and the details. And thank you for joining, Teju, because she's in a very important assignment, a very big assignment that she has taken up. But she just jumped onto this call for that few minutes to talk with us. Teju, you are muted. Can you unmute? Teju.
Okay, let's.
Yeah. Okay, I can actually go over those things. See, as you all know, the allocation is 65,000 visas per the fiscal year. Then the eligibility is the foreign nationals with at least a bachelor's degree or its equivalent, right? Then it has to be a relevant degree for the position offered. That's what it could be. Then, of course, the master's cap have an allocation of 20,000 visas per fiscal year. With that being said, the eligibility again has to be for the US master's degree or higher from an accredited institution of higher education. So that's more critical aspect that we have to go in details to understand the accreditation of the institution, because again, most of these employers have gone through this cycle. They do understand the requirements. The critical aspect that probably I wanted to bring it to your attention is that the degree must be officially conferred before the employer files a H1B petition. What that means is, if someone is graduating in May, in June, probably we can still consider them into the master's quota and apply for the lottery registration. Because by the time, if they are selected, then we have until June to file their H1B petitions. So if they have master's degree by that time, they still qualify. So that's one thing probably is important for all the people who are considering to actually register people into the master's quota, right? So that's an overview of the H1B cap, just as an intro. This is just no information. Again, as just a word to share, probably this meeting might go a little over an hour because of the content and the time that we started. So please bear with us, okay? Then we can go with the changes in the registration system. Then we'll see how probably that has affected. Yeah, Julia. You can unmute all, maybe, if that is what is causing.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
All
Teja.
right. So the new rule was proposed and finalized, obviously, in an effort to reduce fraud and misuse of the H1B program. This was a direct response to fiscal year 2024, when we saw a notable increase in not only registrations, but also duplicate and multiple registrations. So in some background, in 2022, USCIS received 484,000 registrations for the 85,000 available spots. In 2023, that number climbed to an unprecedented 780,884. And the number of beneficiaries with multiple registrations more than doubled in 2023. So in 2022, there was 165,000 registrations for candidates that had multiple registrations through multiple employers. And in 2023, that number climbed to 408,891. So more than half of the people that registered last year had multiple registrations through multiple employers. That was a 148% increase. So when they finalized the new registration system, their priority was to eliminate the benefit of registering through more than one employer to significantly reduce misuse and fraud. The idea behind the new system is to remove any incentive that people have to try and game the system. So in the past, if you registered through 10 employers, that meant your name would be submitted in the lottery 10 times. So you were 10 times more likely to get selected. In the new system, which is going to be beneficiary centric rather than registration centric, what that means is they're going to conduct the lottery based on unique beneficiaries, not unique registrations. So in other words, beneficiaries will only be considered one time, no matter how many registrations are submitted on their behalf. To that end, it's going to be very important that all registered candidates have a valid passport or travel document. This beneficiary-centric system is only going to work if they can identify unique beneficiaries. So the way they're going to do that is going to be the name and the passport number or the travel document number.
Right.
Praveen, were you trying to jump in?
Sorry
Yeah.
to disturb Julia. Here, then changes in the registration system when we talk about it. Then previously we have seen that employees or even employers have done multiple registrations. So pretty much the employees approached multiple employers and the employers entered their names into the lottery system. And we have seen that some people might have got selected twice, thrice, jeopardizing the chances of other people too. So overcome that, then now USCIS has come with this beneficiary-centric registration system. What that means is, as I understand from you, that each registrant or each beneficiary who gets into the lottery would get unique identification. So how many ever employers register for the same employee, still he'll be considered as one number for the lottery, right? Then if that is what it is, then maybe we can even have Amaru chime in. So what are the advantages and disadvantages for this? So how is the selection going to be? Then what if one employee is approached by several employers, maybe 2 employers or 3 employers, then if they register on his behalf, then how that's going to be? Can we discuss or share some insights so that we can get a clear understanding of practically how this works?
Sure. So just the advantages and disadvantages. So obviously the new system discourages multiple registrations since there's no real benefit to registering through multiple employers. You're only going to be considered one time, regardless of how many registrations you have from different employers. So your odds of selection are the same, whether you register one time or 50 times. So that should discourage multiple registration. So we should see selection rates be higher. That's one of the main advantages is if you have unique beneficiaries instead of unique registrations, there's going to be less unique beneficiaries than unique registrations. So selection rate should go up.
Yeah.
There's
So what
also
that means, is, so if there are 65,000 people selected in the regular quota, so these are 65,000 unique beneficiaries which are selected in the quota. And they might be backed up with multiple employers that they might actually show, the selection might actually show for multiple employers who might have actually submitted them twice or thrice. But these are 65,000 unique beneficiaries versus earlier system where probably it might be only 40,000 people because they might have got selected multiple times, right? Because of the registration centric system. So that's actually a major advantage. So we end up actually getting 65,000 unique people, 20,000 unique people selected in the system, right, Amaru?
Yes, that's correct. And USCIS came up with this shift from the registration centric to beneficiary centric in order to promote fairness of the whole program, meaning that every person who registered will have the same chance of getting selected, no, despite the number of registrations that they actually did. So it's actually a good thing from the candidate side. If so, like Julia explained, now the registrations is going to be tied, the whole registration system is going to be tied to a valid passport or travel document as opposed to previously as opposed to registrations. So this year it would be critical to have that valid passport and travel document at hand at when the registration window opens. So any employer, if you have anybody whose passport is expiring or expired, you need to make sure that they will have the valid passport by the time the registration window opens. And this passport is going to be the same passport or travel document that the beneficiaries will use in order to be admitted to the US with the H1B visa. So that's the change with the beneficiary centric system.
Since they are using passport as identification, the main identification or the travel document again, which probably is not relevant for most of the people, then it's going to be the passport, which is going to be the identification factor. Then probably I want to actually give some tips to everyone. So when passport becomes the identification, that's the main document, right? Then most of your employees, this is specific, this presentation is specific for the employers. So maybe when you're talking with your employees, you might get these questions that, okay, I got the visa, which is visa on a different name, in a different name format, which is different than the passport. Then based on that, probably I got an EAD card, which is different than the passport, the name format in the passport. Then I got my social security, I got my bank account, I got my driving license, which has a different name format than the passport. Then what should I enter here, right? So always remember. Then I'm just trying to pick on an acronym so we all can remember this and easy to translate, easy to explain them to the employees. That here we always talk about picking up in the lottery, right? Somebody gets picked up in the lottery. That's what we always talk about. Somebody got picked up in the lottery. So let's have the word pick as an acronym here, which is PIK for this purpose. Then passport is a king. Always follow what the name format that you have in the passport. Forget about what you have it in the visa sticker when you actually enter the country on F1 or H4 or any other visa type, even on L1. Just ignore the name format that you have on the visa. Ignore the name format that you have on your EAD cards. Ignore the name format that you have on your SSN or any other documentation, including your I-20. But pick on the name format, the date of birth, and everything that as mentioned in your passport. So passport is the king, PIK, pick. That's what is going to be our acronym. When you talk with your employees, that's what you're going to say. Let them not use anything else because that's a disadvantage. If someone uses a different name format and someone mistypes a passport number, then you're all IT folks, you understand the system would generate 2 duplicate registrations for the same employee from 2 different employers. Maybe they approach 2 different employers, or otherwise they have selected from 2 employers and they register. And when they are putting this wrong information, they might create 2 different registrations for them, and eventually that gets voided. So that's a dangerous scenario. So you got to be very careful when you are entering this into the system. And we have multiple layers of checking in our firm when we are doing this, versus even when you do it on the USCIS, they give you an opportunity also to double check with the attorney, and there is a confirmation mechanism that we all have experienced last time, and it's going to be pretty much the same. So we all supposed to make sure that the name format and the passport numbers and the details match with the passport. So it's the passport is a king is what probably we all have to remember. Okay.
Praveen,
Then
we have two quick questions, if I
Sure.
can. My husband
Sure.
knows. Suppose the consultant submits multiple, and if he gets selected, then all the employers can apply, or just one? And who will decide who will be submitting?
Absolutely. That's a great advantage in doing this because the multiple selections, as I said, the 65,000 unique beneficiaries will be selected, but one beneficiary might be backed up with multiple employees because they might have selected, they have submitted these registrations. So there might be one employee A where XYZ are the employers, 3 employers submitted him, right? Or her. Then if that person is selected, then it appears in the system for all the 3 people, the 3 employers. Then the 3 employers will get an opportunity to file for the H1B. And of course, it's an employee who would ultimately join only one employer, right? It's only possible for him to work with one employer. And there is no bar for the 3 employers to actually file for the H1. But again, there is an opportunity probably for the concurrent employment in that situation, then which maybe Amaru or Julia, whoever wants to pick up and then explain, that would be great.
Yes. So when the registration is when a beneficiary is selected, and if that beneficiary made a registration through different employers, then all employers will get the same kind of selection notification. So the beneficiary will have will have to choose which one to file the H1B application with. So just like Praveen said, concurrent employment may be possible. So the beneficiary may decide to do one full-time job and another one, the concurrent one, is a part-time job. But in order to do 2 part-time jobs and file 2 petitions, it will be a little bit uncertain as to how USCIS will react in 2 full-time employments. But for concurrent employment, 1 full-time and another part-time employment is doable.
Okay. Yeah. And Dorothy, we can actually have the question and answers at the end of the session. So probably that way we can actually streamline everything and have at one place rather than just jumping onto the topic. So please reserve your questions. Very important. Definitely we'll all discuss all those points which are critical. Then we'll take it up from there. I think those are the advantages that I see for an employee. Definitely it's an advantage because if they get multiple offers, then definitely they can consider. And that was the situation even previously, that sometimes I have seen practically there were employees who were very talented and did actually get offers from multiple employers. And that was a worry because when they enter into the system, and that was questioned. So now I think that's allowed as long as it's bona fide employment and you follow all the systems and all the guidelines. I think that should be good. But the disadvantage, as the other side, like just on the procedural aspect, is that it's more relevant with the passport. So got to be careful. Someone actually submitting their information to different employers, then they have to make sure that they're entering into the system in the right way. Otherwise, that might end up creating duplicate entries for one employee, and that might actually jeopardize their selection process. So I think with that, we can move on to the next topic. If Julia has anything she can add, otherwise we'll just jump on to the next one with the roadmap.
Sure. I mean, the only other potential downside is just that with multiple selections, and if they get it selected, you can apply through any employer that registered you. That gives beneficiaries higher bargaining power. The strongest offer could be who they file through. So that's one of the only potential disadvantages. But overall, the increased rate of selection and the flexibility outweighs that disadvantage.
Agreed. So we'll go on to the H1B roadmap and important dates for all of us to mark. So that way we are well prepared for this, and we can go on to this next slide then to just see what this roadmap is, the H1B cap roadmap is, and what are the dates for all of us to mark. And Attorney Bharat, if you want to just talk about it, that would be really great.
See, all employers have to create a new organizational accounts to register for filing the registrations with USCIS. That from February 28th, 2024, employers can start creating the organizational accounts. The employers who have the old accounts, they can upgrade to the organizational accounts from February 28th.
Awesome. Awesome. So February 28th is the next calendar date for all of us to mark, because that's very important for all of us to log into our existing accounts. If employers already have an employer account, then we need to log into those accounts on the 28th and check if that's been upgraded to what is called an organizational account. What is an organizational account? Again, I'm talking with technology folks, so it's pretty easy for all of you to understand that it allows you to have multiple layers of logins. So what that means is maybe you can share your logins with your HR, you can share your logins with your technology teams or a manager, a hiring manager, and also, of course, very important with your attorney. So you can create a separate login for your attorney for the same organizational account that you have, is what we understand. And when we log in and we realize more what the update is and how easy would that be for all of us to use this. Okay. Then February 28th is the date that we all have to mark. Then, of course, the H1B registration itself, it starts from March 6th until March 22nd, I believe. All right, Bharat?
March 22nd.
Yes. Yeah, March 22nd until I think it starts at 11 a.m. CST and it actually ends at 11 a.m. CST on the March 22nd. EST.
Yes.
Yeah, it's EST, 11 a.m. EST. So that's 10 a.m. CST. So you got to be watching out for those times and the period that they allow us to do these registrations. And as a practice pointer, and even between us, I think I would suggest all employers to start actually submitting their employee profiles to us, at least the first batch by February 28th. So because since the organizational accounts are getting created on February 28th, and make sure to upload these profiles, the registrant information into MySquare portal on February 28th, even before is fine. But at least that's the first milestone for us. Let's get at least the first batch of registrations come into the system by February 28th. That way we have a week to review them and come back with the feedback if there is something which is missing or something we have to change. Then because from March 6th, we can start registering into the system. So February 28th is a critical date for all of us to remember, one for the organizational account and internally also because we need to actually upload at least the first batch of registrants into our system. And that also follows up with the actual deadlines being March 6th and March 22nd. Just mark those dates on your calendars. And anything else to add there, Bharat?
We recommend to submit the registrations by March 21st itself, so that to avoid the last minute.
Agreed. As Bharat, as always, pushing for an earlier date so that we get enough time to review. He's very meticulous. So that's how probably the suggestion would be. I expected that March 21st is what probably he's suggesting. February 21st is what probably he's suggesting us and to take this to submit the information and so that we don't rush into the last minute. And of course, prior to the deadline, we will make sure that we have submitted everything. We get these confirmations from us with the list of registrations that we have already submitted so that you can go over and confirm. That way, if something is missed, we can still catch up on the last few days. Is that right, Bharat?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you. Then maybe now we'll just go to the next step for USCIS filing fees changes. Very critical here. Then let's have, I think, Attorney Swapna. Will you be able to help?
Yes, hello, good morning, everybody. So, as many of you know, in 2023, there was a proposed rule for increase in filing fees. That final rule came into effect as of the end of January of this year. So, per the final rule, there has been an increase in filing fees and registration fees as of April 1st of 2024. The registration fees for this year will remain the same, $10 per every registration. But next year, the registration fee will go up to $215 for every registration submitted.
So just to be clear, for this year, it's going to be $10 as usual.
Yep, $10 per every registration. The new fee won't get in effect until next registration period in 2025.
Great.
And with the change in the other change in the fees is the filing fees, which will be affected for the filings for every registration that's here. So under the new rule, USCIS increased the base filing fee from $460 to $780 for any employers that have employees more than 25. So if you have employees 25 and under, your base fee remains $460. But in addition to that, they also included this the U.S. asylum program fee for each I-129 filing. And this fee is not just for H-1B quotas, it's for any H-1B filing amendments, transfers, extensions. That will be effect as of April 1st, 2024. So the base filing fee is going to be $460 for employers that have 25 or less employees. If you have 26 or more, your base fee goes up to $780. You have the anti-fraud fee, which is $500 across the board for everybody, and then the ACWI fee, which is $750 for 25 or less, and then $1,500 for 26 or more, and then your public law fee, the $4,000, that remains the same if you have 50 or more employees and 50% or more on H1B or L1. So, and then the asylum fee is tagged on. It's $300 for employers that have 25 or less. And then if you have 26 or more employees, the asylum fee is $600. So the fees will be going up from $1,710 to $2,010 for anyone that has 25 or less. If you had 26 or more, but less than 50%, you have $3,380. That's your filing fee for this coming year. And then if you have 50 employees or more and 50% or more on H1B or L1, then your filing fee goes up to $7,380. With that increase, there's also a premium process increase, which is effect as of the end of this month. That goes from $2,500 to $2,805.
Right.
So that all comes into effect. The premium goes into effect at the end of this month, but the new filing fees will go into effect as of April 1st. So anybody selected in the registration for the 2024 quota will have to pay the new filing fees.
Thank you. Thank you, Swapna. Then in the beginning of the webinar, I mentioned that there is increase in the filing fees, which is disappointing, of course, which is an extra expense for all of us. And of course, we also see some elements in the fee, which probably will get challenged. Then see, for example, the asylum program fee of $300. Then I heard from many employers, why are we paying that? Because already that the fees is more, and of course the base fee is going from $460 to $780, and the increase is up to even $720 for some employers. Then it's insane, right? But let me share my own insights. Then the advantage probably, okay. I'm always positive guy. Then looking at opportunities, see if that really works for us. Then USCIS has actually switched the entire thing to online filing, right? The I-129 has to be online. The paper-based will be discouraged. Then we are all submitting the H1B petitions through these organizational accounts going forward. So what that means is that maybe the processing time that, as we see, the 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, 1.5 years sometimes for a H1B to be getting approved will be going down, obviously, with these organizational changes. Then that means rarely, and it used to be when I started practice, then filing a premium process was a rare thing. And now the premium is the new normal, right? Every other petition that we file is in the premium process. So then that has to be going away. Probably we might see approvals coming anywhere between 30 to 45 days when we file it online, because it directly gets assigned to an officer. And probably going forward, this is a game changer that we all felt at our firm. And Samuel was a big advocate for this. And he was always looking forward for this kind of an update. And maybe there might be some AI tools that USCIS might utilize going forward, maybe not immediately, maybe down the line, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, where the processing might become really fast, right? So then the premium fees increase should not really bother us, and unless there is a true need for someone to have a premium process, unlike what we are doing today. So probably we can ignore and realize in the down the line, maybe 6 months, 1 year down the line, if this is true. And of course, an asylum program fee of $300. So this probably might be challenged, then which we will see what happens to that. But again, another factor that I always think when this topic came up for the discussion, I was arguing with Samuel, I was discussing on this one. Then we felt, then you are all, actually, I have several members from leaders actually from IT Serve attending this webinar today. So you know that IT Serve actually protects the interest of all IT companies who are actually filing, and they take up really good topics to discuss and solve with USCIS. And we have seen those things in the past. And probably they have been even acting as an opponent for USCIS in resolving few issues. We have seen that, and successfully they have resolved. And thank you for that. Then the same way, probably this is a great opportunity for the leaders of IT Serve, or even any other nonprofit organizations that I know who work in this IT space, take this up as a challenge. Then probably work with USCIS, and being a nonprofit, and IT Serve has several members who are actually IT companies who are serving the big Fortune 500 and even top 100 Fortune 100 companies, right? So as a consortium, they could even provide these solutions to the USCIS, how to implement this program, and the asylum program fee of $300, right? Then that can be a program fee for a technology program fee for USCIS to modernize. They can even contribute there in terms of money. Forget about money. Even they can even just take up this project as such, as a company, as a whole, as a consortium, and probably resolve these issues, work closely with USCIS and provide this technology support. It's a great opportunity even for all the companies who are part of IT Serve. And probably if someone from this group are not actually members of IT Serve, maybe I encourage personally to actually become their members, because eventually that this might be a reality where you all can work closely with USCIS in solving the technology problems, because especially when AI is going to play a big role, and we can see that a lot of this process delays might be resolved in going through that route. Then we always think, and again, just as a joke, I always see the addresses for the USCIS as log boxes, right? We have already seen that. Then they say that, okay, send this application for the log box in Chicago, right? So I don't know what that log box mean. If someone can help me understand. But always we teach our kids, or everyone in the community, in the colleges, all the kids, that think out of the box, right? Then USCIS is now started thinking out of the box, is what is a game changer that we felt, because they accepting the online filings, which opens up the door for many possibilities. I don't know how fast that they can catch up on these things, but that opens up doors for many possibilities. So probably IT companies together can unlock that box, right? Because if they are actually locked up in the box and they use the lock boxes, maybe you can just come up with a solution where you can unlock those boxes and try to provide solutions. It's a great opportunity for the companies, honestly. And that's how even I felt, Samuel felt, and the whole team felt that this is going to be a game changer because the online filings are important, and that's how we do our transactions every day. We don't actually touch the paper, right? So there is a downside in the fee increases, but I see the upside as in terms of the opportunity. Then we'll see how this probably goes forward, right? Then I think that's about the fee changes that we all have to be ready with, and it's 2010 instead of 1710 for employers with less than 25 employees. Then employers with more than 26 is 3,380 versus 2,460 previously. And employers with 50 plus employees and 50% of them are on H1B high stake, which used to be 6,460, now 7,380. And premium, again, it went up, but personally, I think we will not go with the premium that the way we used to go earlier as the program changes. And we'll realize this probably by end of this year because we start filing in June, before June, starting April, then probably we'll see these things coming up because the online filing actually might make the difference is what I strongly believe. So let's see if I'll be proven wrong. Then let me also introduce our team and explain the process that we are going to handle this time, very important. Then we will open up the questions so that way we address all your concerns or anything that we can add or we can learn from even you too, because that's what we've been doing all these years, right? So with that, probably we'll go on to the slide where I'll actually show our team. And we have offices now in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, headed by Attorney Amaru, and Charleston, South Carolina, headed by Attorney Julia. And we have this extensive cultural sensitivity that we always bring to our team. We come from different walks of life. Then we have different experiences, and we do understand your business. So we have seen that time and again. And we always strive to retain the clients. And I think it's 98% is the retention rate that we have. And the 2% probably they just move places and have their own diversing businesses, so that we end up losing sometimes. But otherwise, we do strongly retain our existing clients. And Google ratings, I'll leave it to you because you are the people who rate for that. Then I don't want to comment. Then just to introduce the team, we have combined experience of 50 plus years of experience, and we are 12 attorneys and the combined team of 38 experienced professionals working together in making this happen. And of course, 60% or 59% of headed by female staff, which we take proud in it because they really take care of a lot of things internally and even at professionally here. So we are very proud of them. And minority as a staff, and we speak 12 languages, and that actually surprises me most of the times. We speak, of course, almost all Indian languages, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and other languages that we speak, Amharic, then Arabic, then Filipino, then other languages, right? And of course, Spanish, very important. Yeah. With that, let me introduce, this is your team. You know them all by interacting every day. And let me give you some insights to our team. I know you know them on day-to-day basis. You interact more than probably I interact with them. But some information that the way that the teams work in our firm or your firm, I always represent clients, right? You know me. I always represent clients when I talk internally that I want to have things happening. Meaning, if there is a challenge, then I represent a client, then I say that, okay, this has to happen, and then this has to be approved. Because that's how the clients are. That's your passion, that's your business, then I support that. Then US Samuel, being Samuel, he always represents USCIS. He holds the black letter law. Then he says that this is possible, this is not possible, and he talks for USCIS. And even any file which actually goes out of my office, would be actually reviewed by at least a couple of attorneys. Then, of course, has an insights from Samuel saying that as an USCIS officer, he wears the hat of a USCIS officer, looking from those eyes, looking from the USCIS lenses, say that probably this is not possible, right? So that's how the team works. And of course, we have a fantastic team that supports our operations, who are compassionate more than anything else to understand the concerns of our clients, and they work 24/7, and there is no boundaries that they keep. So that's your team, just to introduce, and I don't want to go by name because you know them all. I just wanted to give some inside information which probably you have to know the way that we work at ILBSC. And of course, your passion, the way that you bring in the knowledge is also very important for us, and that actually motivates, that drives us in making improvements from day to day. With that, I think we can open up and more important, of course, the process that we follow for the H1B is that now you have already seen, some of you have already logged into MySQL. You have already seen there is a download button for the Excel sheet that you should use only this Excel sheet to fill in the information for your employees and submit it to us. And the submission would work shortly, but otherwise you can send it to your attorneys too. But again, you will be having that option to upload by clicking on this new registration green button on the home page. Then employees would also get visibility to just see their information. So that way there is a second eye on the information that you are submitting to us. So with that, I think the registration process is on. Please download, or if you already have your Excel sheets, fill those Excel sheets and then keep submitting that. So that way we'll start working on it, right? Then with that, we always believe in the get the right advice. So I think whatever I spoke today is truly from our hearts, thinking that this is the right advice for you to do certain things in the right way. That includes anything that you do as an organization to do collectively together as IT companies, talking with USCIS or helping USCIS in modernizing and being part as a big company that you can even try to do it, because it's probably worth multi-million dollars, right? You are no less than any multi-million dollar company. So working together as a big consortium, probably you can even talk with USCIS in offering your services, winning those contracts and modernizing USCIS. That should be probably is a goal, as an opportunity, and stay together the way that you are right now. With that, we'll open up the question and answer sessions. Before that, Samuel wants to add a few
I
things.
have a couple of questions. Probably our team could pick up and explain this. This is regarding the account upgrade. It could be what they said is it's a simple system that it would be upgraded, but somebody could step in and explain this. And then even though it may not be directly relevant, but the fee increase in light of transfer, extension, and amendment cases may be relevant for the attendees. And Julia or Amro could pick up this, a matter of S Inc. Its relevance to whatever multiple filings of employers.
Okay, so we'll
These
take
are
one thing at a time,
yes,
probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we could start with
start
the
with account update. Maybe
Upgrade.
quickly, someone can explain the account update process. Then how would that work, if at all you have any insights?
So we don't have they're not going live until February 28th, but what USCIS is saying is that if you already have an existing registrant account, it'll be a very simple process to log into your registrant account and upgrade it to an organizational account. We don't know what that'll look like because it's not available yet, but once we're able to do that, we'll be able to get screenshots and help clients with that process of upgrading to an organizational account. It's just not available yet, but it'll be a process where you log in and you have the option of upgrading.
Yeah, so it will not be upgraded automatically. You have to do certain
Right.
steps to upgrade it. Yeah.
Okay.
And since they're not opening that up until the 28th and registration starts on March 6th, you'll want to, work to do that quickly because it's going to be a shorter timeline between those accounts becoming available and when registration actually starts.
And not only that, some people might have forgot their user IDs, passwords, then it's all here and there. Then rather we attempt this all on day one to resolve these issues. Then probably also look for the ways to upgrade it. And if someone has not registered, that would be clean, that you actually register on February 28th, get a new organizational account, and then move on.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
So this one, probably this is very important because now they are seeing fees going up to 7,000, and then they already have employees. They're in their heart, okay, would this really affect me next time that I'm filing? Would it also be 7,000? No, it's not going to be like that because these are segregated fees. It could be a one-time fee structure. Somebody could explain this from the team. Swapna or Julia or Amro.
Amaru, Bharat, anyone?
So the
Swapna.
filing fee increase, so it does affect the new H1B process because the registrations will be submitted, and as of April 1st, we can start submitting the registration. So the new filing fee structure would definitely affect the new filings, but they will also be implemented for the extensions, transfers, amendments. Anyone filing with an I-129 form will have the additional asylum program fee, which will be dependent on the number of employees have. So like
So every time that they are filing, they have to pay the asylum fee, even if it is amendment,
correct, yeah,
including the
amendment,
amendment?
transfer, anybody with filing an I-129, even the L1s, they are affected by the new fee as well. So if this is effective as of April 1st, 2024. So before that, from now till April, if you're filing amendments, extensions, transfers, the old fee applies. But after April 1st, the new fee applies, and also there's a new addition to the I-129 form as of April as well. That will be
But what about the ACWIA fee? Because currently it is only applicable one time that you're transferring, and then next time or extension.
The second
it's not
extensions we
applicable.
don't pay, right?
So how does that?
So the
Yes.
the fee structure we had in the PowerPoint, that's only for the cap cases because they would be the ACWIA fee would be applicable. But anybody filing after, so it would be the base fee would be in there, and then the ACW the asylum fee. You'd have to pay the
Okay, okay,
the
yeah.
asylum fee. So instead of the 460 for amendments, it would be the 460 plus the asylum fee for
Got it.
amendments. So it would go like that. So you would have to tack on the asylum fee for every filings after that.
So it's only the asylum fee, which is 300 for 25 or lower employers, and then the rest will be the base fee.
Correct. Yeah. And then
Yeah, which is 460 or 780.
correct. Yes. And then
Yes.
so the extension, if it's a first time extension, then there's the anti-fraud fee that will still be included. But after that, the anti-fraud fee will.
So the short story for the employers is, yes, there is a fee increase, but then the fee increase will not really completely affect your extensions, amendments, except with only the asylum fee, which is token compared to the public law fee and all that. That will be only one time that payment that they will. I just want to clarify for them, every time that they are filing, not all those fees will be included.
Not included.
It is
Yeah,
very
correct.
important because as an employer,
yeah. So for example, if you're filing your first time extension and you have 25 employees or less, it's the 1,260 plus the asylum fee for
Got it.
extensions. And then
Yes.
if it's your second extensions, if you're under 25, it's 460 plus the additional asylum fee. If you're a transfer, obviously it's the same fee, the 2,010 under 25. So as depending on the type of petition you're filing, you will have to pay the asylum fee, but then whether you're paying the ACWIA fee or not, that would depend on the type of petition you're filing.
Right. So again, the advantage is to actually file it as soon as possible, especially for the extensions. Then you don't have to wait until the last minute. Probably filing now would save approximately $300 for smaller employers, than more than that for employers with more than 25 employees, right?
Correct. So anybody filing like the transfers, amendments, extensions, we recommend filing before the April deadline because not only is there a fee increase, but there's a change of form. So if you wait until April, then we'll have to submit new
That's a
forms.
huge saving. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a
So
huge
if
saving.
you're
So yeah,
wanting to file these, then you should
Right.
file before.
that saves them for 3 years, because someone files for the transfer, someone files for the extension. If they're eligible for 3 years, then this fees would actually carry them for the 3 years. Then they don't have to pay this extra $500, $600, $700 wherever it is applicable the way it is, right? Okay, great. Okay. Okay.
The matter of S Inc. Applicability in multiple filings, because basically now, even though it's a beneficiary-centric application, as long as there are opportunities, employees would go ahead and submit their application, but then they will be drawn only once. But those opportunities will create different options for them to file. Now, in light of matter of S Inc., because previously was a very clear case, but now, because they are not taking a lot of advantages, how relevant would matter of S Inc. would be? Because they are not taking any advantage on that, yes?
So for matter of S, I mean, they're de-incentivizing. The reason that we were seeing related companies sometimes filing for the same person for separate opportunities was because the rate of selection in the last year was as low as 12%. So it makes sense that people were trying to make sure that they could meet their staffing needs. Under the new system, there's no advantage of doing that. If you're going to get picked, whether it's 1 or 10. If you're going to get picked, you'll get picked. You could easily transfer if you needed to transfer later. So having 2 companies with any sort of legal relationship register is not a good idea, because that's still going to be forbidden under matter of S. What this is going to change is where multiple what I think will happen is you would only be registering with legitimate employers that have separate opportunities. Where we saw in the last year, we saw beneficiaries registering through 8, 10, 15 companies, right? And how legitimate are all of those offers? We certainly could defend it. We had success defending it, but the advantage of doing that is now gone, because you're going to have the same odds of getting selected whether you register with 1 employer or 10 employers. But the prohibition against registering through related entities still exists under matter of S.
Yeah, just to stress on the point, the move to beneficiary-centric move that is done by USCIS, it does not nullify in any way the matter of SINC. Still, there's nothing has changed in the matter of SINC. So companies, if you have any related other companies, you should still register for that beneficiary only once through one of the companies. Multiple registrations or multiple applications through this related companies is still prohibited.
Right. You should not submit through the related companies. And
No.
as long as it's a bona fide employment, it has to be a separate companies, maybe submitting multiple registrations. Yeah. But if a holding company and a subsidiary, or a person with common management, common ownership has 2 companies, 3 companies, then submitting these registrations from different companies, number 1, there is no advantage because it only gets into the lottery once. Then number 2, the risk is that the matter of S is still applicable, that being related companies, then if that is investigated, whether even you file for the H1 or not, probably that might get questioned, right?
Yes,
Challenge.
but the only question I have is, they may have a genuine requirement for this. There is no advantage. When matter of S Inc. was there was a clear advantage by submitting from multiple companies and related companies, using only one itinerary or one contract. You're gaming the system. Now there is no advantage you're taking,
Right,
but
right.
probably the vendor wants to file for you, and then the
actual employer,
the
or
actual
the
employer
subcontractor wants to file
for
it.
you, and they may have a genuine need for it.
Right. It's multiple offers,
Yes.
multiple offers
It
that you
may
get.
come from genuine
Right.
requirement, but
Right.
again, it's better to be safe on the safe side.
Safe side,
and
because
not
this
go-
is something is developing, and probably we need to address it as we see. Then still, I have seen that probably what I understood is the applicability of matter S is diluted here because of the selection process being changed, and there is no gaming in the system. So, but still avoid actually registering from multiple companies which are related, stay away from that. And of course, the mantra should be that it should be always a bona fide employment and backed up with the assignment. Unless then, you should not register. With that, we'll open up the question and answers. Great, Sammy. Thank
Great.
you.
First question. What will be the consequence if the beneficiary still attempts to register through multiple employers?
Right. So he's allowed to do it because if they genuinely get multiple offers from company A, company B, company C, I've been offered from Amazon, Google, and Twitter, then obviously if I am so talented, then these companies are competing for me and they go and register for me in the system. And as such, for me, there is no advantage because I only go into the lottery once because I have a unique identification. Then I go into the lottery once and whether I selected or not selected. But if I'm selected, then I'm reflecting onto all these three employers as selected. Then they can come back and say, hey, you've been selected. Then I can actually now negotiate with them, or I can discuss with them and see what is a better offer for me. Maybe go with Google, go with Twitter, go with Amazon, whatever the other company is, right? So definitely as an employee, if I'm the employee, I have an advantage and there is no disadvantage, or the law does not bar you from doing it. But only bar would be that if you are registering for the sake of it for whatever the other reasons, without bona fide employment, that might jeopardize. And one advantage that I see, if an employee loosely does this, and his information is being transmitted to say several companies to register for whatever the reason, even though there is no advantage. But if one company duplicates his information, maybe they mistype his name or enters his passport number in a jumbled format, instead of 563 they actually put it as 635, then he would create a duplicate entry and he would exist in the system twice, which probably USCIS system might catch, and then they will throw out of the system so that he is not selected in the lottery because there is a duplicate entry for him. So that's a major risk that I see on a practical sense. But legally, yes, it's possible that you can have multiple registrations as long as they are bona fide and there is nothing wrong in it.
Okay, great. So the follow-up question, which I think you just answered, which employer can file H1B in case of multiple submissions?
Anyone can file. That's what I understand, but we might get more clarity in terms of FAQs that USCIS would release from time to time. I'm looking forward for that, but there is no bar. That was my initial understanding. So what if employer A files, employer B files, employer C files, and I'm selected in the lottery and I'm being submitted by multiple employers? Then it is fine because at the end, I'm only allowed to work for one employer, right? When I start on October 1st, I either work for A, B, or C. So it doesn't matter even if there is an approval from B and C, because my H1B will be active only for one, which is employer A. And number two, Amaru has pointed out, probably that's a possibility that employer B can also file for me as a concurrent employment as long as they can justify. So that might actually be an advantage sometimes, right? So it's allowed that even three employers can file.
Can we file full-time and concurrent in the same cap? And then related, can a concurrent be changed to full-time at a later point if it was part-time?
Right. I'll rephrase the question so that it's clear for everyone. Employer A, employer B applies for the same registrant, same employee, then yes, it's possible like that. Then the same employer, employer A, cannot register a person twice. That is obvious. Then if there is a full registrations from two employers and I get selected, for example, if I'm an employee, then yes, I can work for both companies. If one employer is a full-time, employer is a part-time, then yes, eventually a part-time employment can be amended as full-time, but then eventually I don't work with employer A, right? When it is a full-time, either I choose A or B, I cannot work for both. Then otherwise, both employers can file, but for whichever the company I work, starting October 1st would be an active employer for me, and the other employer would have to withdraw eventually because they cannot have an open H1B approval without an employee reporting to them, because he already informed that he took an offer from a different employer, right? So that's what eventually it should happen.
Okay. And I think we've already discussed the organizational accounts and how that process will go, but just process of how do we know if it's upgraded and who do we contact if it's not upgraded?
Yeah, you can send an email from time to time. We will learn it through the process. We will post news, and we will also share our information probably in the emails. You can always contact the respective attorneys that you're working with. So we will keep you posted on that. And USCIS will do a good job. I always trust on that. We have seen that in the past, that they would give FAQs, and they have solved a lot of these issues.
This one is just for clarity. The introduction of the online submission will minimize or even eliminate the filing cases via courier services like FedEx, UPS, etc. True?
True. That is absolutely right. That's the understanding, that we actually upload the documents, which we are already doing for certain visa types, for certain case types, right? So now this is going to be a full blown. And of course, this is just a starting point. And as the program evolves, then you'll see a lot of changes, a lot of new developments, new additions, which will allow us to actually do this process seamlessly, is what we all believe. So that's the whole point, that we thought this is a milestone. This is an important point that we need to actually come in front of you all and discuss this. And it's a great opportunity for all of us. The fees has increased, but this will also increase our efficiencies, increase the efficiencies of USCIS, and probably will eliminate premium processing altogether, except for in emergencies, right?
All right, I am a new employee.
The parallel would be the perm system.
Yeah, which we have already
When
explained.
we started, it used to be like a very bulky
Yes,
process.
yes, yeah. If
where
you
we
have
used to
known,
have-
if you have known the labor certification process back in days, that there should be a Form 750A and 750B that we used to prepare and submit with
Okay.
probably 200, 300 pages of documentation for every labor certification. There was times that these petitions were pending for years and years. Then now that has transformed into an online filing system, which made it more efficient. We all appreciated that. And that's a similar way that this path is. I think USCIS has taken the clear path of going in that route, which they will also make the changes in the system from time to time as they learn. So don't get disappointed if something is not there, which will evolve, I believe, and which you all can actually contribute to that. And I really see as a group that you are all representing and trying to discuss with USCIS in offering your services, in making this more efficient eventually.
Okay. I'm a new employer. $2,010 for one H1B application or up to 25 applications?
Yeah, 1 to 25. So can you repeat the question, Durti? Sorry. Yes.
They're a new
His
employer. I
question-
think
his
they're.
his question is, he's a new employer. He doesn't have employees. So even if he files 30, 40 cases, because right now at the time of filing, he has 0 employees, or let's say 2 employees. What matters is what your number of employees are right now at this point at the time of filing, not how many cases you are
Right.
filing.
As on date of filing, if you have less than 25 employees, if you mark the number of employees section as 24, then you are actually paying 2010. Or even 25, you are paying 2010.
Right. So $2,010 per H1B application.
That's correct.
Yeah, even if he's filing 30 cases, bona fide.
Each
30
application.
cases.
Yeah, each application. Yeah.
Each application. Okay. If a
But
benefit,
that is not for registration. That he has to know that only comes once he's picked into the registration. He has an employee which is picked in the registration, which is only $10.
Right.
Right.
This is after the selection. Right.
if a beneficiary registered with A and B, and I'm sorry, if a beneficiary registered with A, B, and it got picked, if beneficiary files with company A on premium processing and it got denied before the 90 days timeframe, can the beneficiary go to company B and file again?
Good question. Yes, I believe that is true. That is possible, but again, we'll wait and see if USCIS allows that. But I would actually stand for that. I would challenge that if they don't allow it. Because it's a selection. and that's the whole point. And it's a unique selection, right? It's not taking two chances. So as long as we file it prior to June 30th, yes, I think that's how it is. And in fact, putting in another way, for example, they work for, say, a multinational company which gets approved in premium process, and prior to June, they lay him off. That we have seen from big companies, including Amazon and other companies, that they laid them off. And if they have to actually refile through another company, yes, probably prior to June 30th, I think I would take a shot on it. And unless USCIS comes back with a specific answer for this question with backing, with their explanation what supports the policy not to file, right? And I would fight with Samuel, because
No,
he always
actually, I agree with Praveer's explanation. That's also the reason. As long as that filing period didn't close, the beneficiary should be able to get a second filing.
right.
There should not be any reason
Yeah.
why they will, as long as these are legitimate applications, people.
Yeah, you heard it.
He
We'll
or
hold.
she.
Yeah, you heard it. We'll hold him for that.
Yep.
Yeah, so that we don't actually change the stance.
Cute. I believe you just answered this, but I'll reaffirm it. The number of employees, is it as of date of filing or average over a period?
Oh, data filing, no averages.
Okay.
So it's as on
If-
data filing.
But they should know that they will check their payroll records and things like that. It is and with all these, online filings and all that, there would also be data minings, and I mean these are techie people, so they understand it better.
How USCIS does.
So they will check your quarterly filings. They will check your last payroll records and.
See, what I would do is to actually, when you transmit this information to your attorneys or USCIS, then check your last payroll and see how many employees that you have. I know that it's dynamic for some of these employers. Then, especially if you're in the border for 25 and above, then you got to make sure that you have the payroll records. And then, as on date of the filing, and then go for it.
For greater than 50% H1B amendment fees will be 1,060 for each amendment.
Swapna's question.
Yeah, I can answer this. So for the amendment for if you have more than 50 employees and 50% more, it'd be 1,380. So you have the 780 base fee, which has increased, and then the 600 asylum fee. And then with both of those, it would be 1,380.
Provided that that is a pure amendment, yes, Swapna?
Yes,
If
that's
there
a
is an
pure
extension
amendment.
element to it, then it gets complicated.
Yeah, if there's an extension element, the ACWIA fee that I talked about earlier would apply. But if it's just pure amendment, then that's all there is. Or if it's a second extension, that's also 1,380 for 50 or more with 50% or more.
Perfect.
Concurrent H1B is applicable only after first H1B approved, or even cap filing time one can apply.
Amaru.
Yes. So normally how we do concurrent filing is first the initial application has to be approved, then we file the concurrent application, either preferably in part-time, but sometimes in full-time as well. But right now the question, can we do concurrent filing all together at the same time? It's something that we don't have an answer right now, because we don't know how this registration and how the subsequent filing works. But I don't see a problem. I don't see any problem. As long as you have that registration selected from more than 2 companies, those companies can file that H1B application at the same time. Do you have any different position, Praveen?
No,
No.
I think I agree.
Yeah.
And in fact, we don't have to
Yeah.
rush and even file a concurrent filing, because you file a petition, you get it approved, then you're always open to do any number of jobs, right? You can do a concurrent employment later, even the
Yeah.
June 30th deadline passes, so you don't have to worry.
But the scenario for this guy could be, there is a job offer from Microsoft, and then there is another one from Facebook. These are legitimate offers, and both of them wants to process for this guy. He's not sure if Amazon's offer would be there because of layoffs and all that. So now there is and then he doesn't know whether they will do premium processing. So there is a genuine need for this kind of questions.
Of course. But again, as long as it's a bona fide employment, always
Exactly.
remember, don't actually play around just for accommodation, just as if we reserve our airline tickets. Don't do this. Like, no, do if it is a bona fide job offer that I do have a project. If an employer says this person got selected, it doesn't matter. He works for a multinational company, but you do have genuinely have the project and you need to actually do your business, then go for it and file it as a concurrent employment, as a full-time employment, and that's let the employee choose what he wants to actually work on, right? Either employer A or employer B. Then, of course, you can always convert this into a part-time. You can always file an amendment too if you have a project, you have a need, because the resources are really scarce. On the other side, we actually see that the jobs are less. That we see the news that the techie jobs are becoming difficult. But not really. We see a lot of scarcity of resources from time to time. Even when an employer actually goes out recruiting genuinely for their projects, they really come crying with us saying that, hey, this is our situation. Can we bring someone from Europe? Can we bring someone from there? Still the H1B applies. What can we do? They think always that, okay, probably this is only applicable and people from other countries might have a different option. No, because we have seen this time and again, and I have had a client recently that they were actually trying to open an office in Shanghai just because of this reason that they cannot get enough engineering resources here, and they have been trying to actually go into the market, recruit, and pay a top dollar still. And this is a true story that we see time and again. So that if that becomes a reason, if you have a project and this is what it is, then yes, you should do it. But don't do it if you don't have a bona fide employment.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's the point.
Will the employers have visibility that the employee has been selected by multiple companies or only the employee?
It's only the employer. Very surprising. It's only the employer who would have the visibility. Employee would not know. But if one employer tells them that he is selected, then obviously he should understand that there are other employers who submitted him are also seeing that this is selected, right? So it's always the employer first, employer's petition. Employer is submitting the registration. So there is no update for the employee. So you should always, an employee should always contact the employer to know about the selection. Employee would not know.
Her question in a way is, would one employer be able to see the employee being selected
By
on
BC.
several? Yeah.
No,
So
no, I don't think so, because
that's a question. Yes, Dorothy?
Yeah, I believe so.
yeah, so that's the, yeah, if an employees have approached different employers and accepted offers from different employers, if it is a bona fide employment and they have submitted the registrations and he gets selected, A would not know that there is B and C behind them.
Yes.
Clear? Yeah.
Yep, I think so. Is it necessary to have project confirmation before we register the consultant?
100%. That's what it is, because when you are signing on the registration, you are actually saying that you have bona fide employment. Again, the project confirmation is your internal process, okay? For you to believe you are a CEO, you are telling your HR that yes, this person is onboarded because you have a PO in place, right? That's our validation check. But what USCIS really cares does not really mention these documents. What they really care is whether you have a bona fide employment. As long as you have bona fide employment, then you have, of course, 90 days to document all those things and submit the application. So always rely on the fact that whether you have a bona fide employment or not. And it depends from employer to employer, practice to practice, your internal procedures, how you determine whether there is a bona fide employment or not. Then probably you would say that there is a definite employment only when you have a PO for that. I would not say that, because an attorney for me is an attorney on board. They are working. I won't say that, okay, they are on board just because they have cases, right? They are on board for me. They are attorneys for me. They are our employees. I am their employee. So that's all. So it all depends from business to business, company to company, how you practice, how you have your process in place. But always remember that you need to have a bona fide employment to do anything, because that's what you are attesting for. And then, of course, they give you 90 days to document all this. That's the reason why they gave you these 90 days, so that you can prepare and then file it, right?
Okay. What is the minimum passport validity required for registering?
There is no minimum passport validity they have mentioned. But again, I would encourage to have a passport valid at the time of the registration. If not, I would even still try, but you should have a passport. Then, of course, USCIS has actually clarified all these things, saying that a renewed passport along with the expired passport is okay for them when they go for the visa stamping, when they enter the country, when we are availing for the H1B registration. When we are filing for the H1B, then if the passport, the new passport number is different from the old one, which was selected in the lottery, it's okay. We will put together, explain them. Name changes are okay. As long as we have a valid document. Typos correction are okay. As long as you have a valid document. For example, somebody had a passport, now it is in the process of correction and you got a corrected passport later on, still we can use them. Mutilated passport, lost passport, these are all can be explained. But what you cannot do is get an advantage by jumbling up numbers, by providing two names in a different formats, so that you end up getting two chances in the lottery. Then you are done. The system will be able to take you out. So don't do that. And when you are talking with employers, if at all there are multiple registrations, then make sure that you don't throw away your documents like that. You got to be very careful in submitting this, because a small mistake might just invalidate the whole registration.
Okay. Do part-time employees fall under the count of 50? So I think
Yeah,
it's
another
what is
question.
the definition of an employee, full-time, part-time?
Can I jump in?
Amaru,
Swapna could.
Swapna.
Yeah, so for the number of employees, yes, part-time, full-time, even green card employees, anyone in EAD. So basically all employees that you employ will be counted towards the number of employees you have. And that fee that you pay will be dependent on that. If you have more than 50 employees, but if you have less than 50% on H1B, that's when your fee goes down. But if you have more than 50 on H1B and L1, that's when your fee goes up. But yes, part-time, full-time, green card, EAD holders, all of those will be counted towards the employee count.
Perfect.
Okay. Can an employee file an H1B 2 times in the span of 3 months if the first one was submitted in premium, but it was denied? Can they
Yeah, we
then
discussed all this.
reapply with another employer?
We discussed all these things.
Okay.
If it is prior to the June, the expiry date of the registration of the lottery selection, I think yes, they can, but not after June 30th, right?
This is our last question. Let's say if an employee was impacted by recent layoff and we registered his petition for lottery and their petition got picked in the lottery, but if we are not able to find a project by June 2024, will there be any impact if the employer wants to withdraw his or her petition since we don't have a project in hand? Will it in any way impact employees' OPT status?
Julia, do you want to explain this? Or
Sure. So I
the
think
question
the
was
question,
not, yeah.
I think the question is if you register them, if you end up not filing because you don't get a project, will that have any impact? It won't. That can affect you if you registered 100 people and then didn't file any of the petitions that might look like you're submitting frivolous registrations, and that can be negative for the company. But if you have 1 or 2 employees that you end up not placing and you don't file petitions, it doesn't have any impact on the company. You don't have to even notify USCIS. You simply don't file, and it has no impact on their OPT.
All right.
So in
that was our
short, what she's saying is unless it's a systematic thing that you are just filing hundreds of cases and
Registrations.
then you're not really actually filing them, then that would be, some kind of scheme.
Right, obviously.
But if it is 2-3 people, then
Yeah.
that's fine. And I think, Julia, you didn't address the other question, is the person is on F1, he filed for, OPT, he's currently on OPT, he got registered for H1B, and then he got picked. But then unfortunately, they didn't find a project for him, so they didn't file it. Would he lose his OPT? Obviously, he's not going to
No,
lose
like
it
I said,
unless,
Right.
unless, yes.
Yeah,
But
even
that was
even
Yeah,
if
it
they
doesn't
file,
affect
even if they
OPT.
file and the H1B gets rejected, because it's a change of status application that you are filing and it's denied, you still continue to be on your OPT status for the rest of the validity, right?
And also the other way you could also explain is
Yeah.
they could also, they even with the project, they could also file if they don't want to finish their OPT period, they could file without I-94, without change of status,
Correct.
and they are selected into the classification, but then not, lose their OPT duration.
Of course.
Yes.
Yes.
We have two more questions that came in. Last year, we saw a notification on the USCIS website that there will be an investigation for whoever goes for multiple registrations. Has USCIS revised that?
No, that still the policy still stands good as long as you have been registering, like no, when you attract that provision that you are registering without bona fide intent. And as Samuel has mentioned already, that if someone did many registrations and you never end up actually filing even a petition, that raises flag. For example, you have 50 lottery registrations, you end up getting say 10 selected, and you did not file it. And this happens year after year. And probably there is a way for them to look into it and maybe go after you, thinking that what's happening here, right? So there is no change as such but otherwise the multiple registrations will not impact this time because the lottery system has changed. It's beneficiary centric. That means how many number of registrations that the employer do, the only one employee, that employee would actually get into the system once, right? So that won't really impact. But again, if there is a different intent of the employer in doing these multiple registrations and if USCIS investigates that and you don't have an answer for those registrations, then obviously you are liable for that. So the thumb rule is don't do the registrations if you don't have bona fide employment, period.
We actually have quite a few more questions. Okay.
Yeah, we can always address this again. This is an ongoing thing, and probably the respective attorneys, when we interact, when we start the registrations, we can address. But we'll just take two more calls, two more questions, Durti, and we will move on because it's already 12:30. I don't want to really hold the attorneys from our things. Okay, I think we addressed most of these things at this point.
Okay. Two more questions. Just to clarify, if the beneficiary gets picked by two or more companies in the lottery, he gets to decide which employer he wants to proceed with filing. And that would not impact any RFE or multiple registrations on the later.
That is true. Most probably, yes. Again, USCIS might have their own criteria in looking into these things. But yes, as long as he's allowed to do it, then just because he choose A or B, then he would not have more questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe, yeah.
Okay. Which employer registration will take the precedence if the system is beneficiary centric?
There is nothing. So it's only they select the beneficiary. As I said, if 65,000, see, they get 300,000 applications into the 65,000 pool, then they pick 65,000, right? When they pick 65,000, these are 65 unique beneficiaries. Then one beneficiary might have been registered by 3 employees. It doesn't matter. It reflects onto their system. But otherwise, these are independent 65,000 people. Then there is no sequence here. There is no precedence as a matter that who gets first. Then all 3 employers of that employee who was submitted by 3 employers would be notified at the same time.
There is no double dipping. So
yeah.
Even if you're registered 10 times, you're only getting into the lottery once.
Right. Because they will see your first name, last name, date of birth, and passport number. And that will actually pick only one, meaning the duplicates will be removed before the lottery. And they would say that these are 300,000 unique registrations and they pick 65,000 out of it.
Yeah, and that's why Attorney Praveen was really insisting on explaining how much emphasis you have to do on the passport numbers, your names, and all that, because any duplication that is created as a result of entering your passport number could really have, dire consequences.
Right.
Okay.
Hey, can we conclude?
Yes, there's a couple more, but it's up to you.
Okay, we can quickly finish it up. Like, no, why
Okay,
don't
do you
we
have,
leave
do we
it?
have to have a client letter while filing for H1B?
Of course, if you are a consulting company, then if you don't have a confirmation, again, we don't have to submit it. USCIS is not looking for that, but it's better for you to have it to believe that there is an assignment, but it's not a regulatory requirement. That's not we are submitting all the time because USCIS doesn't care about it anymore. The other way around, like a PERM system, they are going to backtrack you. That means when you claim something, they are going to come back with a site visit and trying to prove you that whether you have it or not. So it's always as a best practice to have these documents in place. Don't neglect. But again, if there are situations where clients say that we don't give for the contractors, then that's fine. Have the secondary evidence in place. But otherwise, just because USCIS does not need them, does not mean that you don't need them. The thing is, this is the primary proof that you had a bona fide employment, bona fide intent to file these petitions. And that's a whole system that they would actually come back and checking. That's what PERM has done, right? You would actually attest and then submit the applications, and then they would come back as an audit to submit all the information. The same thing would happen for the H1B program eventually, that you claim whatever you want, but you will be caught, then that would be the end of the story. And we have seen that already. Like so many H1B cap petitions getting revoked after 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. And even in fact, I'm actually dealing with cases where it is revoked after 10 years too. So pathetic, so sad that the primary H1B employer was investigated, and now it is a chain reaction that after so many years that the primary H1 is revoked. So this would happen eventually. So this is more self-responsibility, and you got to make sure that you have proper documentation in place.
Okay, one more. The only problem for OPT candidate is if is in the cap gap and employer does not file after pickup of registration.
Yeah, then he is done. Then he's supposed to have a backup plan to go back to school or do whatever prior to those 60-day period. Then otherwise there is no solution for that. You're right. That's more employer dependent, right? This is employer prerogative that they offer the employment or not. Okay.
Still coming in. Last year, I saw a few employees get a query for multiple filings for one person. That employee got a notification through the IP address tracked by USCIS.
Yep. Yeah, investigation can be in any form. You are all techies, you know how it is. Then it's going to be more and more. Okay. So don't do anything wrong. And we always say, because you approach an attorney and sometimes you approach a doctor thinking that they have a magic wand and they are supposed to do something which probably they can fix, right? So there is no right way of doing a wrong thing. So always focus on one aspect, try to introspect and see whether this is right or wrong. If it is wrong, then in the entire world, there is no right way of doing it. Even if you go and sit in front of a god, there's nothing that it can happen. It's wrong is wrong forever. So there is no right way of doing a wrong thing. So always make sure that you get right guidance. And here at ILBSC, we believe in giving you the right advice, and we give an advice which we believe is correct. And that's what we speak all the time, and that's what we stand for. So with that, I think we can conclude this webinar and wish you all luck for this H1B cap registrations. And we will contribute. We'll try our best